Emily Carter stood before the antique mirror in her childhood room, the sunlight catching on the intricate lace of her ivory gown. She barely recognized herself in the reflection. The girl who once ran barefoot through these halls was now a bride, ready to start a new chapter. At her feet, her 13-year-old golden retriever Buddy lay quietly, his soulful brown eyes watching her with an intensity that tugged at her heart. "Ready, Buddy?" she asked, brushing her fingers through his graying fur. His usual wagging tail was still, and Emily felt a pang of unease. Buddy had been her rock through every challenge, losing her dad, struggling through college, and finding love with her fiancé Daniel. But today, something was off. "Emily, the makeup artist is here," her mom called from the doorway. "I'm coming," she replied, glancing down at Buddy. "Let's make me a bride, boy." Buddy rose slowly, his joints stiff with age, and followed her to the door. The morning was a whirlwind of laughter and preparation. But through it all, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that Buddy was different today. He was quieter, slower, his once vibrant energy replaced with a fragile calm. As they arrived at St. John's Chapel, the crisp autumn air carried the scent of leaves and fresh flowers. Emily stepped out, her heart pounding, not with excitement, but with a growing worry for Buddy, who pressed against her legs as if unwilling to let go. During the pre-ceremony photos, Buddy moved unexpectedly, placing himself in front of Emily and refusing to budge. His deep, knowing eyes locked onto hers as if pleading for her to understand. Emily knelt beside him, the fabric of her dress pooling around them, and whispered, "What's wrong, boy?" She felt his trembling body and labored breaths. "Mom," Emily said, her voice trembling, "something's wrong with Buddy." And just like that, the perfect day she had envisioned began to shift into something she could never have planned for. The veterinary clinic was quiet when Emily and Buddy arrived, the weight of her wedding dress feeling heavier with every step. Dr. Harris, Buddy's trusted veterinarian, met them at the door, his face a mask of professionalism tinged with concern. "Emily, what's going on?" he asked, glancing at Buddy. "He's not himself," she said, tears threatening to spill. "His breathing, his energy, it's all wrong." Dr. Harris guided Buddy into the examination room as Emily trailed behind, the lace of her gown brushing the floor. She sat on the cold tile, cradling Buddy's head in her lap while the vet conducted his tests. Every minute felt like an eternity. Finally, Dr. Harris returned, his expression heavy. "Emily, Buddy's heart is failing. He's in the early stages of congestive heart failure. The excitement of today likely made it worse." Emily felt her chest tighten. "But he was fine just a few days ago." "These conditions progress quickly, especially in older dogs. We can start medication to manage his symptoms, but we're looking at months, not years." Tears streamed down her face as she held Buddy close. "I promised him I'd always be there when he needed me. I can't leave him now." Dr. Harris nodded. "We'll do everything we can." Emily looked at her phone, trembling as she texted Daniel, "Buddy's sick." "I'm so sorry." His reply came immediately. "Don't apologize. I'm coming." When Daniel arrived, still in his tuxedo, he knelt beside Emily and Buddy. "The wedding can wait," he said softly. "What matters is us together." At that moment, Emily realized her perfect day wasn't about the ceremony or the flowers. It was about the love that brought them here. Emily sat on the cold tile floor of the veterinary clinic, her crumpled wedding dress spilling around her like a forgotten dream. Her hands trembled as she stroked Buddy's soft fur, whispering words of comfort to the loyal companion who had always been by her side. Her mind swirled with grief and guilt. The wedding she had planned for over a year was slipping away, yet none of it mattered now. "Emily," Claire began softly, her voice tentative, "what if you and Daniel got married here?" Emily looked up, startled. "Here? In the clinic?" Claire knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Why not? This isn't what you planned, but maybe it's exactly what it's meant to be. Buddy has been there for every big moment in your life. He should be here for this one too. Daniel, who had just arrived still in his tuxedo, caught the tail end of the conversation. He knelt beside Emily, taking her hand in his. She's right, Em. This day isn't about the venue or the decorations. It's about us, our love, and the family we've built, including Buddy. Let's do this for him. Tears spilled down Emily's cheeks as she nodded. The staff at the clinic sprang into action, rearranging chairs and tables to create a makeshift ceremony space. Dr. Harris offered a vase of fresh flowers from his office, and Claire adjusted Emily's veil as best as she could. The minister arrived quickly, bringing a calm reverence to the impromptu scene. As Emily and Daniel exchanged vows, Buddy, now resting on a soft blanket, watched them with tired but loving eyes. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Buddy let out a soft woof, his tail wagging faintly. Laughter and tears filled the room, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. The months following the wedding were both a blessing and a trial for Emily and Daniel. Buddy's diagnosis of heart failure hung over them like a shadow, but they resolved to fill his remaining days with love and joy. Every moment became a treasure. On good days, Buddy would accompany them on short walks to the park where Emily and Daniel had first met. He moved slower now, his once strong stride replaced by a gentle shuffle, but his spirit remained unbroken. He would sniff the air, wag his tail faintly, and rest in the grass as the couple sat beside him, sharing quiet moments of gratitude. On harder days, Buddy stayed close to them at home, his breathing labored and his body weak. Emily adjusted her work schedule to be with him, while Daniel took turns staying home to ensure he was never alone. Together, they learned to cherish the small things, his contented sighs as he lay by their feet, the way his eyes lit up when they offered him his favorite treat, or the soft thump of his tail whenever they entered the room. Through it all, Buddy continued to teach them what love truly meant. It wasn't grand gestures or perfect moments, but quiet, unwavering presence. He reminded them that real love shows up, no matter how difficult the journey. One quiet evening in early spring, Buddy let them know it was time. He had spent the day basking in the backyard sunshine, enjoying their company, and even playing gently with his favorite toy. But as the night fell, he grew restless, moving between Emily and Daniel, as though ensuring they were both there. With Dr. Harris by their side, Buddy drifted away peacefully in Emily's arms. "Thank you," she whispered, her tears falling onto his soft fur. "Thank you for teaching us how to love." In that moment, they knew Buddy's love would remain with them, shaping their hearts forever. A year had passed since Buddy's peaceful farewell, and not a day went by that Emily and Daniel didn't think of him. His leash still hung by the door, and his favorite blanket lay folded neatly in the living room. The pain of his absence lingered, but so did the warmth of his memory. Buddy had taught them so much about love, resilience, and the beauty of living fully, even in the face of loss. One crisp autumn morning, Emily and Daniel found themselves standing at the entrance of the local animal shelter. It was the same place where Emily had first met Buddy 13 years earlier, when he was just a scrappy pup with eyes that seemed to see straight into her soul. Today, their hearts felt ready to open again. "Are you sure about this?" Daniel asked, his hand gently squeezing hers. Emily nodded, her voice steady but soft. "Buddy taught us that love doesn't have a time limit. It's meant to be shared. This is how we honor him." They walked through the rows of kennels, greeted by wagging tails and hopeful eyes. At the end of one row, they stopped at a small pen. Inside was a senior golden retriever named Charlie. His fur was streaked with gray, and his movements were slow, but his eyes radiated the same warmth and wisdom that had drawn Emily to Buddy all those years ago. "He's 10, the shelter worker explained. "Most people don't want older dogs, but he's as sweet as they come." Emily knelt down, her fingers brushing against the gate. Charlie lifted his head, slowly patting over to press his nose against her hand. In that moment, Emily felt the same connection she had felt with Buddy. "He's perfect," she said, her voice breaking. That evening, Charlie settled into their home as if he had always belonged there. He found Buddy's old bed by the fireplace and curled up, sighing contentedly. Emily and Daniel watched from the couch, tears in their eyes but smiles on their faces. "Some people think we're crazy to adopt an older dog," Emily said softly. Daniel pulled her closer. "But we know better. It's not about how long we have, it's about the love we give." And so, as Charlie began his new chapter with them, Emily and Daniel carried forward the lessons Buddy had taught them. That love is worth any sacrifice, any heartbreak, and that its beauty lies not in its duration, but in its depth. In their living room, beside their wedding photo, hung Buddy's collar with its tiny bow tie, a lasting reminder of a dog who had changed their lives forever. Charlie, resting peacefully by the fire, was proof that love, once shared, could create new beginnings, even in the wake of loss. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our latest videos. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Thank you all for taking the time to watch, and see you in the next video.